don't want to talk about too much of the match Jack Perry won, but I do want to talk a little bit about something that I did want to talk about on this show is what's everyone's thoughts on the whole blood in wrestling and the amount that we see it on AEW TV and pay-per-views. And I waited till now to bring it up because we saw color in this match. We
Mhm.
saw some blood coming out of Dustin Rhodes. I don't want to speak for everybody. I know some people just love it no matter what. Uh, Jimmy, I know being on the referee side, I'm sure you've had your fair share of matches where there was blood in the ring.
Mhm.
Um, Overall, like what's your opinion on it? Do you think it's oh look at that. You got a little scar from
Yeah.
one
Oh,
time?
oh yeah. Thank you, Animal from the
Oof.
Legion of Doom. But anyways, but as far as blood goes in matches, yes, it was at the time a necessary evil, but it didn't happen all the time. When it happens too frequently, it ends up meaning nothing. Because I guess here we go again. Everybody's gonna say, "Well, there goes he's talking about WWE again." Yeah, because when we saw Cody get busted open by The Rock leading up to WrestleMania, it meant something. Because when was the last time you saw blood in WWE? Because they have the no blood policy,
Mhm.
but they had an exception for that one spot, and it just made it mean so much more. If you have, like, God bless Moxley, I love the guy, but at the same time, it was like a running gag every week, that he was going to get busted open and bleeding all over the place. And when you do it that often, it loses its cachet. It's got, oh, okay, we got some blood, great. Now what? That was, instead of going, oh my goodness, you want to be shocked. You want to feel sympathy for the guy who's gotten, you know, who's bleeding all over the place like Dustin did tonight. You wanted to feel that sympathy, and I did for Dustin. But at the same time, it would have meant a lot more if we hadn't seen so much of it in the past.
Take away maybe us seeing it in the past. Do you think it was good? It was a good placement in this specific match.
I thought weird right after they announced Blood and Guts coming up. I know you want to kind of make it feel like, oh, see, we have blood, to kind of like, I don't know if it was intentionally done that way to make it feel like, okay, Blood and Guts is coming up. Here's somebody who's shedding blood. The bigger issue I had with it was, anyways, I'll get to the finish when we get there. But maybe it was intentional, maybe it was accidental, where they didn't put the pieces together before they went in that direction. I don't know. It just, yeah, it felt out of place to me, to be honest.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Flobo?
yeah. The thing about Blood in AEW and Blood in the Attitude Era, like, because I can't just sit here and talk about nuance, right? I love Fast and Furious movies. Give me all the explosions. So it's not so much to me the amount of blood necessarily. Like, I mean, whatever. If I'm going to buy into a TV-14 product, I'm going to get some blood. I'm going to get people dropping swear words that we can't say on this after show, but it happens on the show itself. I think what annoys me as a fan is what causes the color, like in character. It's never like, oh, you got hit by a title or the ring bell. It's always like, oh, that turnbuckle was pretty rough, or that DDT busted him open. I'm like, well, that makes me feel everyone is weak, but that can't be true. They're wrestlers, they're titans, they're stronger than I am. I'm just a lowly mortal. So
Mhm.
the blood amount doesn't bother me. I just think that if you're going to go ahead and do it, give me a reason to make that blood go. That's why he's busted open. Not, oh,
Mhm.
okay. It's because Dustin got pretty much shredded fairly easily
Yeah.
today.
No, I would have preferred it if they had left that spot, the blood to the DDT on the floor. They peeled away the pad to expose the concrete. That, leave it at just that. You didn't need the exposed turnbuckle and then double down on the floor with it. Just that would have been enough, I think.
Am I overthinking it? Because when I saw the blood, I'm just where is this going? My whole thing is, if I was like a booker or promoter or whatever, and somebody wants to do like a high spot or like a blood spot, I'm just gonna be like, why? Not in terms of like a why isn't you shouldn't be doing it. In terms of why, like why do you think it's relevant to the match and the story that you're telling? Why do you have to jump off the top of the cage? Why do you have to involve Bob? Like I want to know why you think this involves blood, and I just don't think this was like it needed the blood.
If you're asking about this match here with Jack Perry and Dustin, I think the idea is that you got Jack Perry, he's a bit of a slime ball, he's a scapegoat, and Dustin is pretty much the closest thing we have to like that rah-rah cool baby face in a brand that doesn't really have those. So I understand what it is on paper, but I think when it happened, it just made Dustin look weak and not Jack making strong. I don't think anyone's gonna be like, hey, he busted up Dustin Runnels last week. It's not gonna translate. It's gonna be like, oh, well, that was a match. Now what's going on to Jack?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like I overthink things all the time, but I think of two things when I think of blood in wrestling. I think of Steve Austin and I think of Eddie Guerrero. What did it mean like for Steve Austin to bleed in that match? It meant everything. Like that actually was blood that where red turned to green.
George, I gotta stop you here. That is a very unfair example because
That is an unfair example.
It is,
but that's how much blood can mean something.
Okay, but let me tell you, the last time I saw blood on WWE where I felt it make no sense. It was Cesaro, remember him, against Seth Rollins, and Cesaro got busted open and he lost that match. And as a fan, I go, oh, I don't never believe him again. There was nothing really big about it. There was no pathos. There was no these guys are battling. It was a random match on Friday. Cesaro never recovered again as a character. I think I look at this and I go, they gave the idea to make me feel Jack Perry strong, but I don't believe it because we love Dustin so much.
Yeah, and as far as Jack Perry feeling so strong, that's where I had the issue, and I'm getting off the blood topic here with the finish, with the cover, the way he covered and the way he reacted after he got the pinfall win, with that cockiness where he's running his fingers through his hair and he's laying on Dustin like that. He squeaked out a win against an all-timer. You know, he should have shown a little bit more like, whew, thank God I got through that match. You know, I had to outsmart him big time instead of just, I had this thing in the bag. I get that he's playing the cocky character who's a little bit of a slime ball, but at the same time, you got to show a little bit of different emotion where you had a struggle, where you had to fight, where you had to outsmart him by, the kick in the yam bags when the referee wasn't looking. And at least Dustin sold it, unlike someone else in the match. But anyway, and show that like, oh, man, I had to cheat to beat this guy, but I got there. Show that kind of emotion where I could kind of resonate with it instead of going for the cheap heat where I'm, that cocky individual.